Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just got in a little fight with my 7-year-old over his jeans. Apparently his school makes everybody wear jeans today, and I always hear him fighting with his mother over the jeans, and he thinks they're too tight or too loose or this or that. Well, today my wife had left early, and so I was left dealing with my son, and I have a shorter I have a shorter temper with my 7-year-old and the reason is because I know he's like me, and I know he's trying to manipulate, and I can see it happening right before my eyes. So he starts in with all of this, my jeans are too tight, and then I went and found him another pair, and he puts those on, he says, those are too loose. And so I immediately realized he just woke up in a bad mood and decides you're not going to be able to please him no matter what. So I looked at him and I told him that if he didn't decide which one of those pair of pants he was going to wear and not say another word about it, that I was going to get in touch with Santa Claus and let him know that this kid might be kind of waffling on the good or the bad list as far as where he needs to be. That kid, I didn't hear another peep out of him about jeans the rest of the morning, and he went to school and he was as happy as he could be. So problem solved. And I will now explain to his mother how you deal with these kind of things. It's funny, I've learned, the baby especially really knows how to just chip away at mama, because mama is a softie when it comes to the baby. Enough of that. Okay, Mike Preston, at Mike Preston CW12, but more importantly, the official Marine to the Digital Asset Investor channel. He had sent me this tweet, and I thought that it was a very timely tweet, and it's time to go down this road. His tweet says, CZ Binance, CEO of Binance, will Binance America be the first crypto-related business to have a Super Bowl commercial this year, or will it be Coinbase? You know, we talked about this last year, and it didn't happen. This year, I kind of think it's a lot more possible that it could. It might be more like next year. I don't know, but it's still something we need to throw out there every year and see if we can get a conversation going. So what I did is I retweeted his tweet. I said, the Super Bowl is coming. Who will put their big boy pants on and have the first ever digital asset related Super Bowl ad? And these are the ones that I think are the most possible Super Bowl ads in the United States this year. Gemini, eToro, Coinbase, Grayscale, Binance, Binance America, Bittrex, Uphold, Backed, this is Fidelity Digital Assets, Execs, or Ripple. How about those? I think the ones I named are the most probable. Now, over in Europe, where football, what we call over here is soccer, football over there, I think the most, for whatever, I guess the World Cup would be their Super Bowl. And I can't remember, does that happen every 3 years, every 5 years? It's something like that. But anyway, for their World Cup, I think that eToro is the most likely. You could have a Bitstamp or something like that. You could even have a Liechtenstein exchange and something like that. Who knows? But anyway, it's an interesting conversation to have every year. Okay. Now, this is big right here from Michael at VAL5 Links. XRP is offered. A group of former Morgan Stanley executives today announced the launch of FEMEX, a high-speed cryptocurrency derivatives platform designed for both retail and institutional investors. And this is the article, and I'll remind you, Morgan Stanley is that's where I was a financial advisor. I was a financial advisor. It used to be, you had Dean Witter, and then I think you had Morgan Stanley, and then those two merged. For a while, it was called Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I think that's the way the name was. But that's about the time when they had merged, I believe, and then they were becoming just Morgan Stanley. That's when I joined that firm back in when was that? 2000, 99, whatever, 2000, I think. But anyway, this is a big deal right here. It says Phoenix is being touted as a low latency trading platform offering perpetual contracts in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP with up to 100 times leverage. When you're seeing things like up to 100 times leverage, what you need to think is just imagine if they're wanting people to come into something like this and do all sorts of they'll be doing all sorts of trading, margin trading, and everything else. Says a group of former Morgan Stanley execs today announced the launch of Phoenix high-speed cryptocurrency derivatives platform. It's being touted as this, and it's got Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, and EOS. In the future, it plans to offer contracts backed by traditional finance instruments as well as real-world commodities such as metals, agricultural products, and energy. So the question you all need to ask yourselves is why on earth in this industry that is supposedly so awful and all going to zero and only for money laundering and all this stuff, why would Morgan Stanley executives, Morgan Stanley, which is one of the top, three Wall Street investment banks and retail brokerage firms, why on earth would executives from a firm like that think that it's a good idea to open a crypto derivatives exchange? And the answer to that question is very obvious. They would think that's a good idea because they're plugged in and they know what's coming. And they know what the digital asset investor has been telling you for 2 years of what's coming. This new burgeoning asset class is what's coming, and they all know it. And these people they wake up in the morning and all they see is money. That's what they see. You've never seen an environment that is more detached from from feelings as you have when you walk into a financial firm, or a Wall Street financial firm. These are some of the most ruthless people on the planet that love money like there's nothing else on earth. And if you don't believe me, go watch. And this is I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's worth it. I've told you before, one of my favorite financial documentaries of all time is the one about Enron, the smartest guys in the room. If you've never seen the Enron documentary, there's a Enron was a company that it was basically a one big fraud. But at one point in that movie, they are trading energy, and they were literally a part of back then when the California, their power grid kept going down. It was like a nightmare. Well, Enron was a big part of that. They were trading energy, and their traders were literally recorded on the phone laughing at what this was, at all the money they were making, and how they were hurting these poor grandmothers in California by their power being off. These people were sick. And I'm not saying all financial people are like that, but when enough money gets involved like there is on Wall Street, it creates a lot of perversion. So when you see people coming from that place into this, they smell the money. That, like I've told you before, they're not going to sit on the sidelines and watch 1,000+% returns while the best they can do on Wall Street and the S&P 500 is 10% or 8%. Not going to happen. So yes, they're coming. And then Stuart XRP here weighs in. He says, first exchange to truly bring Wall Street level sophistication to the worldwide crypto derivatives markets. We allow the trading of crypto contracts backed not only by crypto assets, also by traditional financial products, stock, indexes, interest rates, forex, commodities, metals. There you go. What have I told you 1,000 times? Every product, every financial product that you know from traditional finance, and some new product, many new products that haven't even been created are coming. From XRP Crypto Wolf, who once again, as he does almost every day, provided me with 2 good tweets. A panel of top U.S. financial regulators, including Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, SEC Chairman Jay Clayton, and CFTC Chairman Heath Tarbert, urged federal and state officials to monitor digital assets, distributed ledger technology, and stable coins. You better believe, and I think the only one that they didn't include was whoever heads up the IRS, which is the one that really should be watching this and is watching it. Okay, let me get a sip of coffee here. And by the way, I don't know if I've ever told you this. I do put cinnamon in my coffee, but I don't do it until at least the second cup of coffee, because the cups without the cinnamon are more the wake up cups, okay? The cinnamon flavor is more for the second, maybe third cup of coffee, if I go to the third. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that. And then here's XRP Crypto Wolf again. The European Central Bank will develop its own digital currency if the private sector can't make cross-border payments faster and cheaper. EU finance ministers are expected to adopt a joint statement welcoming the ECB's work for a digital currency on December the 5th. This right here, I wanted to show you something because this takes us back. But before I do, I'm going to show you this. This is from King Solomon at XRP_Al. A digital currency backed by the European Central Bank could be necessary if payments remain too expensive, a confidential ECB document said, adding that it is possible adoption could be accelerated by signs of lower cash usage, which is going on right now. Well, I decided, since we're talking, that's two different things about the ECB as it relates to this industry. So let's take a look back. All I did is a simple Google search. ECB Ripple is what I typed in, and this is one of the first things that came up. This is how long that Ripple has been working in this game. Okay, I mean it's longer than that, but this is just from 2016. ECB weighs in on distributed ledger tech from May 10th of 2016. What the banking industry needs is a standard that connects disparate systems, both old and new. The ECB is not overly conservative in its estimation of its potential. The report asserts that DLTs could stimulate a reorganization of financial markets, which could in turn reduce reconciliation costs, streamline the post-trade value chain, and allow more efficient use to be made of collateral and regulatory capital. Now go down here. It says, this is from Ripple, an interoperable solution for payments and settlement based in a shared and neutral standard lays the foundation for efficient post-trade processing and all other types of transactions in turn. This is not a change that can happen overnight, but with the development of the interledger protocol, an interoperable future is possible. Incremental change is more likely than overnight revolution. Having been engaged with making that incremental change longer than anyone else in this space, Ripple tends to agree. But this right here, they're talking to Bitcoin maxis right here. This right here, that line right there is the reason that I chose to invest in XRP years ago. Is because XRP is the one, because they did the smart thing. They had the smartest guys in the room that realized right up front that you're not, if you want to sit around and wait for a revolution, then in Bitcoin and take over and banks be gone and all this, what is Anthony Pompliano is always saying, what's his little phraseology? He says, something Bitcoin, and then he says, banks, short the bank, long Bitcoin, short the banks is what he says. Well, if that's your mantra, short the banks. If you're saying that banks are going to go away because of Bitcoin, I feel a lot more comfortable, instead of waiting for a revolution, I feel a lot more comfortable betting on the smartest guys in the room who have been working with the banks and the regulators since 2000, at least 14, have been working, or really 2012. They've been working with these guys to change the world and the financial system. And instead of having a revolution, I want to have a revolution in my wallet as a result of betting on the right horse. That's kind of been my thing all along. Okay, now yesterday we were talking about Finality, and I may end it here because this video has gone long. Finality International, this is from Matthew Liny. Finality International, likely settlement with XRP, R3 Corda, and Hyperledger. And he tweets this is from their website. Finality International has been founded to create a network of decentralized financial market infrastructures, DFMIs, to deliver the means of payment on-chain in tomorrow's wholesale banking markets. And down here, he has tweeted out this, and this is probably from their website as well. But it shows kind of they're basically trying to create the pipes. But I think they realized that R3 is the pipes, okay? And these things, you can barely see them here, but I'll read them to you. Security settlement, exchange clearing, trade finance, issuance, I believe that says, collateral management, and cross-border payments. You're going to see, as Ripple has said for a long time, you're going to see we're going to live in a world where, and as I've described to you, you're in the grocery store, and digital assets seemingly go from one digital asset to the other through interoperability. Think interledger protocol. I believe that it all works hand in hand. I believe that R3 is involved, Hyperledger. I think that remember, Ripple's a member of Hyperledger, which I think is like an organization to make all this happen. Finality's right there in the mix. And remember, State Street is the bank that's focusing more on Finality, which they're a part of. Banco Santander is a part of it. Bank of New York Mellon, you name it, MUFG. This is a big, big deal. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that Ripple just seems to be everywhere you look, what having to do with finance across the world, whether it's ECB, Finality, R3, all of it. Ripple is in the game, folks, and they always have been, and they were the first to the table. Don't forget that. Thank you for listening.